Discipline. Control gained by enforcing obedience or order. Hey there. This is your spiritual alignment coach and mentor, Cortney Browning. Welcome to another episode of Unhindered Woman. Are you ready for some #real talk that will inspire and serve you, my high-achieving Christian sister? A conversation that will deepen and personalize your relationship with God by revising the routine scripts you've been taught about Christianity. This is not to be a replacement for professional counseling and or legal advice. Hey sis, grab your hot beverage of choice along with your journal and pen and let's get into it. Did you know that discipline was a way of being for Jesus? This way of being led him to glorify God. And the way that Jesus glorified God was through his obedience. And God has a way in which he orders things to be done, and Jesus obeyed that order. So listen to discipline defined one more time. Discipline is control gained by enforcing obedience or order. I find it jaw-dropping amazing that Jesus had the audacity to, just this amazing confidence to be able to say to God that he glorified God here on earth. I'm going to share with you where that is said. It's in John 17, verses 4 through 5. Here's what they say. First, I love me some Amplified, so we're going to go Amplified version first. Listen to what it says. I have glorified you down here on the earth by completing the work that you gave me to do. And now, Father, glorify me along with yourself and restore me to such majesty and honor in your presence as I had with you before the world existed. Listen to verse 4 again, y'all. I have glorified you down here on the earth by completing the work that you gave me to do. Do you hear the order, right? The order came from what was it that God gave him to do? What was the discipline? It was his obedience to complete that work. Mind blown over here. Listen to Passion Translation. John 17, 4 and 5 in the Passion Translation. He says, I have glorified you on the earth by faithfully doing everything you told me to do. So, my Father, restore me back to the glory that we shared together when we were face to face before the universe was created. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Jesus glorified God on the earth by faithfully doing everything that God told him to do. Again, I'm going to say what discipline is. Discipline is control gained by enforcing obedience or order. Why am I sharing this with you? Discipline is something that we aspire to have in every area of our lives. And the truth is, the most important disciplines that we are ever going to have are our spiritual disciplines. Because out of those disciplines flows everything else in life. And so what does that mean? Where there are lack of discipline or disciplines, that's why I was using the word are, and where there are, sorry, backtrack a little bit. I'm a little excited about this. Where there are lack of disciplines, spiritually speaking, we see the fruit, which means there isn't much fruit that glorifies God. So, where there are much or many spiritual disciplines, there is much fruit that glorifies God. Spiritual disciplines are the most important disciplines we are ever going to have. So getting back to this text, I want to go back to John 17, 4 and 5 in the Passion Translation. And here is what it says. I have glorified you on the earth by faithfully, did y'all hear that? I'm going to say that one more time. Faithfully, that speaks to disciplines, y'all. Doing everything you've been told me to do. So, my Father, restore me back to the glory that we shared together when we were face to face before the universe was created. Jesus had audacious and complete confidence in what he said here. Jesus glorified God while on the earth by completing the work God gave him to do. This took obedience, and for him to be obedient, there had to be an order that God laid out for him to do, which points to disciplines. What I find fascinating, that is a bonus to me, is that Jesus was face to face with God before the world existed. That's for another episode. This moment, I wonder if you recognize that this took place in front of his disciples, right? Remembering what disciples are. Disciples are those who are followers of Jesus Christ. And this particular passage is really specific to this was in front of those who were following him while he was here on the earth. And this moment took place after his very last, very intimate and detailed conversation with them face to face. And what I find fascinating is that Jesus did this after that conversation with the disciples where he was talking to them about the Holy Spirit coming and all these other things that we're going to go into in a little bit, or in the next few episodes, I would say, that this moment took place not only immediately after on the back end of Jesus having had this intimate time with his disciples, it is in front of them. Y'all, mind blown right here. Like, he did this in front of them. To me, that was an in-person, hot off the press moment for the disciples to capture, that Jesus was giving them an amazing nugget of letting them know what it takes to glorify God while on the earth. And that is to complete the assignment that God has given him. It meant the same thing was necessary for them, which means the same thing is necessary for us, because we too are disciples of Jesus Christ. What is it going to take? It's going to take disciplines. So I'm going to stop right here. My friend, do you have spiritual disciplines in place? You're probably thinking, what does this have to do with my business, Cortney? I pray that's not a thought for you. However, I wouldn't be surprised if it is. Why do I say that? I have met many, especially in the last 8 years when it comes to business, who, when I ask them through coaching experiences, what does God have to say on that? Or did you get God's weigh in on that? The majority either sit quietly because they have no answer, or they're audacious enough and trust me enough to say, I didn't ask him. That's why I'm bringing this up. This is a focus that we must have, because out of this experience, this lifestyle, meaning spiritual disciplines, everything else should flow. So here's my question. It's simple. Do you have spiritual disciplines in place? And if so, how's that looking on the daily, on the monthly, and then on the yearly? Do you need to shore them up? I've got help for you. I am determining whether or not I will be doing a group coaching or a masterclass, or potentially just creating a mini course for you to take to dive deep into this, to begin to set some great spiritual disciplines in your life. That could be code word for boundaries, right? For making sure that you have these spiritual disciplines placed in your life. So, you know what? I'd love to get your input here. I'd love for you to either DM me through Facebook, or Instagram. You can even email me at Cortney@unhinderedwoman.com. That's Cortney with no U in it. So it's CORTNEY @unhinderedwoman.com. I'd love to get your feedback. What is it that you would like to see? How would you like to see this formatted? And that'll help me shape how I will go forward in doing this. If I do a mini course, it will be where you could either do the mini course by yourself and implement it, or I would even be willing to do maybe one call per week. It's probably going to be about 4 sessions. So 4 weeks of a mini course where I would do a 1 hour or maybe even a 90-minute coaching call in addition to that mini course. To be honest with you, that is my bent. That's where I'm leaning. So I still welcome feedback though, because I'm here to serve you. So with that, I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for joining me in this episode of Unhindered Woman. My hope is that you feel seen, known, and loved by God. This podcast is here to serve and inspire you to explore more on how to work with me, to find out what I'm up to and where you can find me on social media. Click on the links shared in the description of this podcast. I'd love and appreciate it if you give me a quick review in this app that you're listening in through. Don't forget, subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already. Talk with you soon, friend.